Good morning again. It's April 28th. This is my review of the Samsung S22 Ultra. I've had the phone for 2 months. Unfortunately, I got a bad one out of the box. I worked with Samsung for more than a week, maybe 2 weeks, trying to troubleshoot it. I did everything they told me to do, jumped through all the hoops, still got the same problem. That is that occasionally when I plug in this USB-C cable, the alarm will go off telling me to unplug it immediately because water has been detected in the port. Comes up white background with black print, and the phone throbs away and damn near, well, I guess it's the best it can do for an alarm sound. It's kind of scary. So I unplug it, and you have to touch the spot on the screen in order to get that alarm, that annoying alarm to shut off. I finally have got a new phone coming under warranty from Samsung. I'm glad I got that insurance. It's costing me big bucks. The phone's costing me big bucks, which kind of bothers me. I didn't get a very good deal, but T-Mobile does give better service than others that are big, and so I'm going to stick with them. The main thing I want to tell you about the S22 is my big disappointment is the price of the phone, the fact they sell the darn power supply separate when you really have to have it. And the 25 watt is adequate. I wouldn't buy the 45 watt. It's just extra money down the drain, and you really don't get a faster charge. And I don't think it's a good idea to run that much wattage into the system. I think it's good to do it at a moderate level, the 25 watts. Other than that, audio quality on the phone is pretty good. It really is. The visual quality is excellent. I know that there's been some criticism because of the benchmarks being established before the firmware was installed, and the firmware throttles back the CPU because it heats up too much. So a lot of people are critical of that. I just do videos on my phone. I don't even do any editing, as you can tell. I'm a slow learner, a slow adapter. And I really don't give a damn about technology hardly anymore because I'm tired of being enslaved to it. But I tried to take the phone back because I spent too much money on it. By the time I was out of the store with the sales tax and the extra goodies, I was on the hook for over 1,500 big ones. It's just not worth it to me. Other people have been getting these phones for $400 or $500. I don't know how they do it. I didn't get a trade-in with my phone. Verizon offered me one, but their bill was going to be higher, and in the long run, I was going to spend more money by going to the thieves at Verizon, and it was also going to, well, they just don't have good support over there. I don't want to bother with those people. T-Mobile's got these sweet girls from the Philippines that are ultra saccharine, which is starting to get to me. I almost want to be abused and mistreated like I am by the standard American issue female. You know, they don't like us guys much. They're very merciless, is the word Siri Singh Saab used. And it's true, they're very merciless today. If I was to ever marry a Filipino woman, I wouldn't bring her here and ruin her. I'd go live over there in that beautiful land and keep her nice, sweet, and innocent. But who knows, they might just be better predators than our predators, huh? You know, that weaker gender stuff? You know, yeah, right, as if women are weaker than men are. Ha! What a fallacy that is. Anyway, I'm getting off subject. The S22 is a big disappointment when it comes to the headset. There's no jack and no headphone amplifier built into it. You don't get that digital audio conversion that you should get in a high-end phone like this. In a high-end phone like this, you should be able to have the best audio quality possible. And using Bluetooth is just substandard. It's not acceptable. It's a pain in the ass with the settings and hookups. I bought the most expensive Bluetooth headset made by Bose, and it's a disappointment as well. It does have a hardwire jack out, but I can't plug it into this cell phone. So they put me on the list the 6-month list after I've been paying on this phone, say 6 months, then they'll let me go on the hook and pay more money and keep me in debt longer on a new cell phone. If they don't put a damn headphone jack in this next one, I'm not buying it. I don't recommend you buy it either then. I want a headphone jack with good digital audio converter chips in there. I want audio file quality. I want to be able to plug in a good headset and good sound. I don't have my hearing aids in. Okay, my hearing is impaired. We ought to legitimize silencers and stop making them an NFA tax item. You know, people think silencers are illegal. They're not. You just have to pay the government. Whatever you want to do with this government, you just have to pay them and it's okay. It's just like it was in Roman times. As long as you pay your fees, they don't care what you do. But you got to pay them. And this is the land of the fee and the home of the slave. We are in slave landia. We aren't the free world at all. And the Asiatics know that, and they look at us, and they look down their noses at you because you're a goddamn slave. You stupid motherfuckers out there are nothing but a bunch of slaves. You think you're free. You send your boys and girls, your sons and daughters off to die in foreign lands from these wars, and most of them take a long time dying because they come back wounded from some biologicals. Sometimes it's self-inflicted, like it was with Desert Storm, which, by the way, was nothing less than radioactive poisoning from the depleted uranium rounds our boys fired. And they didn't want to own up to that, so they destroyed those records with the bombing of Oklahoma City. That was to destroy the 480,000 medical records so that our government, Veterans Administration, would not be responsible for their asses. I tell you, it's time we shut this central government down and we handed them their asses. Gave them their walking papers. We need to fire those bastards. Especially these damn teachers. I mean, they're grooming your children. Look, folks, you don't realize this, but if you were raised during the Disney generation with all those movies that Walt put on and all those cartoons, you've been groomed. You wonder why you got sex on your fucking minds, man? It's because of Walt Disney and the shit he put in his cartoons. Yeah. You and I, we were groomed by Disney. So you folks want a little justice? You want a little piece of the action? Then form a business up and start mining all the data. Go after Disney. Look at those cartoons. Look at the embedded messages. Look at all the penises and all the other stuff that's embedded in those cartoons for us children. Man, that company ought to be paying for centuries for what they did to this country. If you want to know what it's called in the Bible, it's called the error of Balaam. Balaam. The jackass who had a donkey that talked in the Bible. I love that story. The jackass set Balaam right. He chewed his ass out. It's a wonderful story. Get the Bible and read it. Okay. Samsung S22 Ultra. The high-tech guys say it's just repackaging the same old chips, the same old problems, and it's not much of an improvement. Now, I come from a 9-year-old, I think that's what it was, a Galaxy S5. Yeah. If I hadn't dropped the phone last summer, I'd still be using it. I don't like these new phones. I want to be able to pull the battery out. Another thing about the S22, they put the same size battery in their cheap-ass introductory phone today. So what makes this so damn ultra? The price makes it ultra? You should have put a 7 milliamp hour battery in the thing, 7,000 instead of a 5,000. It really should be able to go for 2 days or even a week without having to recharge it. It's a lot of money. Okay, I'm grumpy today. I woke up. I didn't sleep good last night. I slept good the night before. Went out, had a great meal. Gonna do a sleep study thing. And, yeah, I die in my sleep, I swear, all the time. got high blood pressure problems. It's probably due to the sleep apnea. So I already know how that test is going to come out. Probably going to have both types of sleep apnea. Anyway, what I want you to do is I don't want you to buy the S22 Ultra by Samsung. Why don't I think you should buy it? I think you ought to hold out till it gives you a damn headphone jack. This hooking things up by Bluetooth and having extra radio frequencies from Bluetooth around you, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't care how safe they say they've made it. I don't trust these labs and the science reports. I know they did a fraudulent bunch of lab results on the earlier cell phones claiming that they weren't harmful at all. And that was set up, and the poor guy that had the lab that was required to run it, there's a video out on him, and he actually tells you without telling you. But if you listen between the lines, you realize he was testing cell phone radiation, and his lab test was set up in advance. He was told by the vendor, if you will, the contractee, that the contractor, that basically that they wanted him to run a specific lab test a certain way, and he said he looked at it, he knew the results before he even ran it. It was going to show cell phones were safe, and they aren't safe. They cause a lot of brain tumors. They cause a lot of problems. But he also knew that if he didn't run the tests just exactly the way that they wanted, that they were going to ruin him, ruin his life. And not only that, he knew that they were going to ruin the lives of his children too. That's how those sons of a bitches operate. It's a giant organized crime family known as the Khazarian Mafia. They aren't upright people. They may have more money than Jesus or whatever, than St. Peter has, who guards the gates of heaven. They may have more wealth than any of those guys. They may have more gold than God has, for all I know. Well, they probably don't do that, but they probably have more gold than you or I have, that's for sure. And they stole it all, folks. They stole everything. So, Samsung S22 Ultra, Dr. Kent's review. Don't buy it. It's not worth the money. I want a cell phone over which I have control, that doesn't have control over me. Number one, I want to be able to remove the battery and kill the son of a bitch if I want it off. You know, I like to be in the wilds. I don't want to have an electronic tether attached to me. Number two, no headphone jack. You got to rely upon Bluetooth. Don't buy it for that alone right there. Number three, dishonesty in the benchmarks and in the safety of all cell phones. Oh, I shut the Bluetooth off on mine. I'm not going to support that stuff. They've got all kinds of secret stuff in these phones that they sell us Americans. And if you want a real good cell phone, you get it before the CIA gets it shipped to their place where they have it all wired up with their spy stuff. Because of that jackass who's on the Supreme Court who wrote up the Patriot Act. You guys ought to always say Patriot Act whenever you mention his name. Justice Kavanaugh, Justice Patriot Act Kavanaugh. He was the technical brains that was the architect of that. And if there was any reason to disqualify a man from the Supreme Court, it was from that bastardization of our freedoms, the one that took it away from us. He ought to be kicked off the Supreme Court for bad behavior because he has the craftsman. He's the architect for that piece of shit bill. Yeah, and I wouldn't buy a modern computer either. Keep the old stuff going because it's not worth buying it because it's got hardware in it to spy on you and software in it to spy on you because of that Patriot Act. And what did Bush do? He made it legal for them to take photographs of us all in public and all that stuff and violate your privacy. Oh, and the Roe versus Wade, that wonderful Supreme Court decision was based upon the right to privacy in the Constitution. There is no right to privacy in the Constitution. Roe versus Wade was bad law, bad recommendations. as was their gay marriage that they foisted off on the rest of us. They all ought to be hung, far as I'm concerned. They work for the Chi-Coms. They get paid $1 million, $2 million a year per justice. I understand. And what do? They go to visit China each year. And what do they get paid for? They give lectures. Imagine that, precious lectures. They won't give us lectures, will they? And we pay their salary. Oh, that's right. The Chinese give them millions. We only give them maybe $250,000, maybe 400,000 to serve on the bench. And they're supposed to be a suggestive body if you read the historical record. They're not supposed to be ruling over us the way they are. States' rights, folks. If you want to save the country, demand your governor restore or create the militia. It's a volunteer army. Actually, most states were required, the colonies were required by law. You had to have a long arm, a rifle. You had to have a short arm, a pistol. You had to have a short sword. And then you had to have 200 rounds of ball, lead, and so much of a measure of powder. I don't know if they required flints or not, but you can look all that stuff up. In other words, a good citizen, a man was a man in good standing to be a member of the militia. And so they were wanting to be in good, they wanted to be in good standing with their fellow militia members, with their peers. And so they took the militia away from us in 1902. That was unconstitutional. Read your constitutions. It's probably the third most important document. The Bible being the first, Declaration of Independence being the second, and the Constitution being the third. And while you're at it, you might as well read Stamper's book, Fruit from a Poisonous Tree. That's considered number 6. I think Sex and Culture probably ought to be number 5, because it'll tell you what kills cultures and civilizations and why countries disappear. I'll have more for you on that later. Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. Not that big of a deal. At least it doesn't spy on you the way the iPhones do. As my housekeeper and her husband say, Apple is evil. Samsung's just as bad. And that damn Patriot Act and those justices that support that stuff and those congressmen that gave that to us ought to be decorating light posts downtown in D.C. Y'all have a good day. I feel better just venting a little bit. How does that make you feel? What a pissant question that was in therapy. How does that make you feel? What do you think about that? What's your reason tell you? What makes sense to you? Or do you want to just acknowledge your emotions and take care of your emotions? Cater to your emotions. No, real men go with intellect. God goes with intellect. Yahweh goes with intelligence. It's intelligent design, folks, for a reason. Keep your powder dry.